Welcome to the MediaQuest SATIS Web TV. I'm very pleased to receive now Kane Lee, who is in charge of content for Baobab Studio, an American studio focused on VR content. Hi Ken,
Hi.
nice to meet you.
It's great to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
So your studio has been created 2 years ago.
Yeah, we were formed maybe a little over 2 years ago in 2015. It's felt like a decade, not just because the technology has evolved so quickly during the time, but also the content. And we care a lot about both. We were started by a college classmate of mine, Maureen Fan, who's our CEO. She and I went to Stanford undergrad together and reconnected out of our mutual love of animation and of her finding a reason to really dive into it, which was VR. She brought together a dream team of business, creative, and technology by partnering with Eric Darnell, who's our Chief Creative Officer. And Eric comes from DreamWorks Animation, and he's one of the most successful directors in animation of all time. He directed all Madagascar films, the movie Ants, and also our CTO, Larry Cutler, who graduated maybe a decade before Marina and I did from Stanford, and he actually studied computer science with a specialty in virtual reality. But at the time, VR, the technology wasn't quite there. So him coming into the company was sort of a dream come true for him.
How your company is structured right now?
How's our culture? We're very much about being multidisciplinary, about balance. In these early days of VR, we feel it's very important to listen to everyone's opinions, but still have an overall mission that we're all going after. So that balance of business, creative, and tech is really important to us, but also maybe half of our team comes from traditional film and the other half comes from gaming. And so each set will come in with different priorities. One group might care a little bit more about interactivity, and the other might care more about like how beautiful something looks. And it's important, we think, to marry all those different disciplines as long as we're doing what our mission is, which is to create the best storytelling content that there is in virtual reality.
When did you decide to integrate real-time engine in VR? You were one of the first company to make that for storytelling.
There wasn't a lot of narrative content done in a real-time game engine that was sort of that really high CG animation quality. So we were very excited to be the first, to be one of the first. And we were inspired by a lot of stuff that was there. And one of the things that we really wanted to be a pioneer in was actually placing the user inside of the experiences as a character inside the stories. We knew it would be a challenge because when you watch traditional storytelling in cinema, you're used to sitting back as a user and being very passive and watching the story unfold and developing a lot of empathy for these characters. In gaming, on the other hand, you have a controller and you kind of are acting out of a need to win or get to the next level. So how do you combine that? How do you inspire people to act and to behave and to feel present in these narrative stories while while those stories are actual, real, good stories to tell? So finding that balance between the two has been our greatest challenge, and where we found the most amazing surprises because we weren't actually encouraged in the beginning to put the user into the body of a character. Our first experience, Invasion, we did, and it became one of the most viewed and highly rated pieces of virtual reality content in the space. It's available across all the different platforms. It won us an Emmy Award earlier this year, and they were great enough to give it to our entire team in recognition of us building a studio around this first production.
You also integrated kind of artificial intelligence, I mean mirroring process. Can you tell us more about this?
Sure. One thing that's very important to us is if you're going to be inside of the experience as a character, it has to feel so real and believable that you want to reach out and touch the other characters. That's the promise of truly good animation, and that's the promise of truly good VR. But one of the questions that came into our minds after we saw Invasion and how people reacted to our first piece, Invasion, people were so enamored by our character, Chloe, this bunny rabbit, that they started mimicking her behavior. They started mirroring her actions. And our scientists figured out, did a lot of research and figured out that's actually something that's built into human DNA. We actually, if you and I were on a great date together and you put your hand on your chin, I might put my hand on my chin, and it's something that we would do subconsciously to signal attraction or empathy or bonding. So we took it a step further in our next experience, Asteroids, which we premiered earlier this year at Sundance, and we're going to release wide this for the holidays, where we created a robot dog character named Peas, and she actually will mirror your behavior. So if you turn your head this way, she will be wagging her tail and turn her head that way. And we found through sort of our testing and our our sort of internal creative process that it actually increases the engagement that users have with the story and with these characters.
Each time you want to go one step further, can you tell us more about the next step?
I think the next step is continuing, overcoming the challenges of VR, directing the user's attention, inspiring them to look where you want them to look as a director if you have a beautiful narrative unfolding. That balance between interactivity and storytelling, because we believe all good storytelling has a strong spine and a beginning, middle, and end that takes you on this journey. But at the same time, for you to interact in it, we need to find that balance of you feeling like you have complete freedom, but that you're inspired and motivated to act in a way that could affect the story, make you feel like you have that freedom, but also engage you and bring out your human emotions and empathy. As a next step, we want to work on continue to break ground in both of those areas, but it's really about making you so immersed in the story that you feel like you're a part of it, that it's not just about it's not just about interactivity versus the storytelling, but really about like immersing yourself so much in it that you leave the experience feeling that you affected the outcome of it, but that the story will stay with you forever.
Your content, Invasion, and the other
Asteroids?
Yeah, are very short. When you experience them, is it because you believe for the moment the user experience can be longer, or it's just a question of financial resources?
We absolutely believe the experience can be longer. Starting out, it was important to us to be able to create content that could appeal from anyone of any age, from any demographic, and really introduce them to sort of the wonder of VR. So we didn't want to spend too much time trying to create content where the technology might change while we were in the production process. Animation, as you know, takes a little bit longer than shooting something in live action. But for us, it's always story first. So if we can create a story in that sort of short form, that we find inspiring, we're going to move forward. We did Invasion, at a record pace because we wanted to get it out there and see how people responded. And because people responded so well, we decided to make a sequel in Asteroids. And Asteroids actually, when it's released this holiday, will be 10 to 12 minutes, and Invasion was about 6 minutes long. So we're finding that as the hardware gets better, people get more and more comfortable wearing the headsets for longer. And they will be able to wear them for longer. But right now, we love this sort of short form space where we can experiment and try new things and try to get our content out there as quickly as possible.
So for the moment, a long feature is not in your plans?
No, I mean, our current production, it's called Legend of Crowe. It stars John Legend, and we're going to place you into what we call like a storybook-like environment, where the images aren't necessarily hard edges and that sort of realistic CG that you see in a lot of CG animation that comes from Hollywood or an Invasion or Asteroids. We're going to put you into an environment that feels like it was painted. And that to us is a huge technical challenge to do in a 360-degree live environment. This piece will come out in the spring, and but in the meantime, there is a feature film model in Hollywood, and we've been fortunate enough that our storytelling got the attention of really big producers out there who want to turn our VR experiences into traditional feature film franchises, and that to us was just very validating in terms of how far storytelling in VR has come, because a lot of content you see out there has been pre-existing franchises that want to use VR to promote traditional theatrical experiences. And we think it's inspiring that there might be traditional theatrical experiences that are inspired by something that came out of VR first.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you for having me.